So from the eye test you can see that Khephren Thuram has a skill set that is a blend between a winger central midfielder and a fullback all in one. For a central midfielder, he's not just incredibly explosive, but he has excellent ball control when dribbling past players or driving forward into open space at speed. And tactically, this explosive carrying can be used as an offensive weapon from the central midfield wing-back or the wide centre-back positions, which I'll break down tactically in just a minute. From his FB Ref report, you can also see how complete he is from a statistical point of view, as over the past 365 days, he ranks around the 70th to 80th percentile range for his non-penalty goals, non-penalty XG, which he slightly overperforms as well, his XG assisted, his short passes completed, as well as the percentage of short passes he completes as well, alongside sitting in the 80th percentile for the percentage of dribblers he's tackled. And these metric ratings on their own are pretty impressive, but after seeing his take-ons and carrying metrics, alongside my tactical analysis explaining how I think Ruben Amorim could use Thuram in a bit of an outside of the box idea, I think you'll see that Thuram is not just one of the most underrated central midfielders around, considering his likely price tag, and really just the hype around him compared to someone similar like Ederson, but also the perfect style of player to get the best out of Bryan Mbeumo and Ahmad on United's right flank. But before I go any further, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. They've got a variety of different currencies and retro jerseys, including this 2006-2007 white Manchester United away shirt with Ronaldo 7 on the back, which they did actually send me, as well as this Juventus Zidane shirt from the 90s as well, which are two jerseys that I have been wanting for quite a while, but were incredibly hard to find. If you use code Atlantis at checkout, you'll get a 10% discount, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comments section below. So when looking at the possession section of Thuram's FB Ref report over the past 365 days, you can see that when compared against every other central midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues, the statistical output that he's putting out for his ball carrying and take-on metrics is probably already at the elite level. Low to mid 90th percentiles for his successful take-ons, progressive carries and carries into the penalty area, whilst also ranking around the 75th to 85th percentile range for the percentage of take-ons he completes, as well as his carries into the final third. But it's not even just about his pace, power and ball carrying ability, it's also his technical quality, as not only is he a level above the likes of Hakimi and Mendes, who are traditional fullbacks when it comes to his ball control and quick footwork in tight areas, but he also has the flair and trickery around the box that reminds me of a young Paul Pogba. And this is why I think Thuram could be perfect to get the best out of Mbeumo and Ahmad on the right flank, either being used as a right-sided central midfielder or even slightly further down the line developed into a right-sided centre-back. And to be fair, if you watch him for Juve, you can see that when he does get released down the left side, he might actually be better than from the right, as when he's forced to stand up the defender in a 1v1 or produce a piece of skill on the turn, running at pace, or just under pressure, he has a quality that you'd probably expect from a wide attacker in these situations. Now Thuram's progressive passing attributes are where he does need to improve, but they certainly don't look terrible from a statistical point of view, or even from the eye test as well, as by looking at his passes into the final third and penalty area, as well as his progressive passes and expected assists, they're all hovering around the 50th percentile median. And so statistically over the past 365 days, when it comes to his progressive passing, he's about as statistically valuable as a Lamine Kamara's ball carrying, with Lamine Kamara being the opposite in terms of progressive passing and ball carrying. And so just like I said about Ederson in my Kamara Ederson analysis video from the other day, which I will leave linked in the eye above, Kamara is a perfect stylistic fit for players like Ederson and Thuram, who specialise when it comes to their powerful ball carrying through the centre of the pitch, especially after turnovers and in build-up during artificial counter-attacks, being able to transition the attack quickly because they're so incredibly quick across the ground, with or without the ball at their feet. And being a central midfielder naturally and having played on both the right and left sides, combined with these constant vertical runs back and forth, he's been used to operating in nearly every area of the pitch. In possession, Thuram is used to operating in tight central areas, wider deeper areas when he's pulling wide to receive the ball to feet and then turn out immediately, as well as that inside corridor on either flank. Out of possession, he is capable of defending space on the transition, when he moves out wide into the channel to defend a 1v1, centrally in the middle third, as well as being able to diligently track runners into the final third and into the box as well. See, Thuram has such a complete skill set that he kind of reminds me of Ernesto Valverde, being someone who could probably give you a 7 out of 10 performance most weeks as a central midfielder, wing-back, full-back, and potentially in the future as a wide centre-back. And like Ederson, it's his speed across the ground, with or without the ball, alongside him having no real weaknesses in his game, apart from maybe aerially in the case of Thuram. And on the recovery in the rest defence, both Thuram and Ederson are the sorts of players who you want running back or shuttling across in order to hunt down opposition players who are driving the attack forward. Whilst Ederson is the superior of the two defensively, offering better reading of the game, tracking of runners, and dominance in physical duels compared with Thuram, the Juve man's close ball control and flair does make him a lot more creative in the final third. Now ideally if we could sell and buy at high volume, because the funds are likely to be a bit more restricted without the expected sale of Bruno Fernandes to Al Hilal, if possible and necessary I'd probably look to sell Dalot for between 27 to 32 million pounds, Casemiro to Saudi for between 15 to 20, which alongside his 18 million pound salary getting off of the books, raises around another 8 to 10 million pounds on top, as well as one off if not both of Agate for 33 to 36 million, or Mainu for probably between 63 to 68 million, with some add-ons on top in order to raise funds to bring in Lamine Camara from Monaco for between 38 to 43, Ederson for between 50 to 55, and Thuram for between 40 to 45 million pounds. And if not all three, I'd at least like two of those. Now I've said in a video that should be out soon, hopefully in the next few days or so, that Ederson could be an elite level central midfielder in the midfield double pivot, but also with some development over next season and the season after, could also be elite in a libero sweeper role as the central centre back in the back three. But I'll elaborate more on Ederson in that particular role in a separate video, but I think Thuram has the potential and the current skill set to develop into an elite level central midfielder, wide centre back or even a wing back. And that's because he would significantly improve United in many different phases of play. See, in build up, Thuram as the right sided centre back can form a back three with the goalkeeper and wide centre back on the far side. Ederson as the central centre-back can push forward to the edge of the box, alongside Lamine Camara in the midfield double pivot, with or without Bruno Fernandes also dropping to the edge, depending on whether United form a box shape or a diamond in the centre of the pitch. From here, Yoro, the left-sided centre-back in this example, and obviously Onana are going to prefer to progress the ball with their passing rather than their carrying, whilst Bruno Fernandes and Lamine Camara provide creative passing from deeper positions, whether going more direct, looking to release the centre forward into the channels, incisive passes to thread the ball between the lines, or using shorter and sharper passes in order to keep play circulating to play out of the pressure, leaving Ederson and Thuram as the players who can use their explosive acceleration when making darting movements in behind players over shorter distances, as well as their pace over 30 to 50 yards, to make unexpected third man runs from deep, looking to run off of their designated pressers and get goal side of the opposition's midfield line press, wherefrom they can look to receive the ball and drive the attack forward into the space, with Thuram also being pretty press resistant on the edge of his own box when receiving the ball under pressure with his back to goal. Now in possession in the middle third, both Ederson and Thuram are capable of either sitting behind the ball in the rest defence, very well suited to defending on the recovery, particularly Ederson when it comes to tracking runners in behind due to his pace and physicality, but in possession they can both provide these vertical runs to break in behind the back line or midfield line as well, with Thuram in particular being highly effective in these wider areas of the box, which I think suits both Mbumo and Ahmad on the right, as well as Dorgu and Cunha on the left, making Thuram effective in possession with these forward runs from the central midfield or wide centre-back positions on either side. But if signed this summer, because we aren't going to be signing both of Ederson and Camara alongside him, Thuram of course would be playing in the midfield double pivot, probably as a cheaper Ederson alternative, preferably alongside another signing like Lamine Camara, which I think would make a fantastic midfield double pivot, considering I reckon both could be attainable for around 35 to 40 million pound each, around 75 million pounds combined. In the midfield double pivot, if Bruno Fernandes is playing ahead as a right-sided interior forward, behind an advanced forward like a Mateta or a Gyökeres, then Thuram's powerful forward running down the right side is exactly what both Ahmad and Bruno need, as well as the system as a whole, with Bruno Fernandes' deeper movement towards the ball working to drag the opposition's left back or left-sided centre-back out of the back line, opening up space for Thuram to make a third man underlapping run into, to be found either by Kamara or Bruno Fernandes centrally from deeper positions, or via Ahmad's passing in field or down the line from a deeper position on the flank. But I also think that Thuram could play a more conservative role in the midfield double pivot with Fernandes, not pushing forward as much in possession to provide these third man runs ahead of play, but holding a deeper position in the rest defence in order to allow Bruno to push further forward, with Thuram having the pace, physicality and 1v1 defending ability in space to deal with any counter-attacking threats. If Mbeumo was signed and Bruno Fernandes was being used in the midfield double pivot with someone like Ugarte or Kamara, then I would like to see Amorim use Thuram in a more creative wide centre-back role that I talked about previously in the video, as well as Mazraoui is very reliable defensively and can also provide the necessary forward movement ahead of both Mbeumo and Ahmad. Thuram probably has greater speed when providing these sorts of runs, but also greater technical ability and quality when he gets into these wide areas inside of the box. But either in the midfield double pivot or at wide centre back in the future, I think Thuram's speed across the ground, ball carrying, technical ability and end product in the final third gives him one of the most unique skill sets of any central midfielder on the market. And if Atalanta are demanding beyond 50 million for Ederson, I think Thuram, who was signed by Juventus last summer for just 16 million pounds from Nice, could be available for between 35 to 40 million pounds and would come in not just as a cheaper Ederson alternative, but also someone who I think has elite level potential. So let me know what you think of Thuram in the comments section below. And if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a 10% discount. I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section. And if you want to sign up to my Patreon to check out any of my articles or sign up to the Instagram discussion group chat, I'll leave that linked on the end screen now as well.